I've been avoiding this video for about a month now. I think it's just because it would force me to actually kind of take accountability and talk about what's been going on, you know? So I'm 24 now. I'm just gonna try and treat this like a little school project, school presentation, because I low-key miss doing that a little bit. So here we are in the middle of this field with my microphone strapped to my notebook so I can talk to y'all. I'm going on a tangent. I don't really have a plan for this video, so let's just talk. Okay, so these are the 4 most important things I learned as a 24-year-old. And they all start with F, by the way. For the theme, you know, 4. Anyway, 4. Number 1, feeling my feelings. And that is so much more easily said than done. I'm typically someone who tends to intellectualize their feelings. I like to try and figure out what it is, why I'm feeling this way, and rationalize it, and, you know, figure out, oh, okay, this makes sense that I'm feeling this way because, yeah, it all works out. I should be fine. But the reality is, doing that doesn't actually help you process those emotions. And again, feelings are one thing, emotions are another. Feelings, cool, emotions your body holds on to. And you need to find a way to release that, whether it's yelling, singing, moving your body, dancing. Actually, there's a study recently, dancing is really good at helping you process your emotions somatically. I'll link the study here. And the 2 things that I would like to associate with feeling my feelings are 1, fear, and 2, forgiveness, okay? So with fear and forgiveness, it's scary, you know, to acknowledge these things and to actually face them head on and just sit with them. Because rationalizing and intellectualizing your feelings gives you this sort of exit or out to be like, well, that's how it is, and you can just kind of remove it from yourself. But that's not the case necessarily. Your feelings are part of you, and you need to process them. Sometimes you need to sit with them, and that's uncomfortable and that's scary to just not be in like the best state. And I think that's something that people forget as well. Like, life is not just always about being happy and being neutral, or sometimes or just being at your lowest of lows. Sometimes they're just gonna be like off days, and you have to just deal with it. You don't have to necessarily find a reason. You can just be. Secondly, forgiveness, okay? Forgiveness. And with feeling your feelings or whatever the situation may provide, because usually I think in your 20s, there's always something going on. And I feel like, at least me, I'm the kind of person to always blame myself and to create this sort of reality where I'm at fault. And so forgiving myself is a huge part of that. And from there, that allowed me to be able to feel my feelings. I need to make sure the mic is up here. That's not to say that you should pardon yourself of every single crime. I'm not saying to do that. You know, take accountability where necessary, but you gotta stop beating yourself up over the smallest of things. It's not productive. How can you live that way? You know? How can you live that way in this constant state of feeling sorry for yourself and simultaneously blaming yourself? Like, come on, get a grip. You can only feel that way for so long. After that, it becomes counterproductive, right? So let's go, pick yourself up. But to do that, you need to face your feelings. You can't just keep intellectualizing them. Second thing, I need to speed it up. Okay, second thing, where are we at? Friends and community. The mental state I was in earlier this year, and for a good chunk of last year as well, was so awful because of whatever circumstances I was in, my personal life, in my family life, career-wise, personal development-wise. I was in a pretty bad state. It was getting better, especially since my ADHD diagnosis and being medicated regularly, but there was just still this thing I couldn't put my finger on, you know? Well, it was, I know what it is now. It was me not processing my feelings and my emotions. But in addition to that, it was the fact that I distanced myself from my community, my friends, my family. I grew to resent my mom, my dad, my sisters, my friends even. Like, I wasn't going out. And I found that the core of that was the fact that I resented whatever situation I was in. And from that, I distanced myself and I pushed myself away. And so this year, relearning to be part of a community was a big thing for me, because you get into the habit of not showing up for people. This year, I really tried my best to make an effort to show up for the people that I love, the people that I claim to be my best friends. I'm sick and tired of this narrative of, like, you know, the people that you drift away from, you're like, you know, I know that they got my back. You know, at the end of the day, like, I know that they'd be there for me. But, like, why do I have to know that they'd be there for me or know that I'd be there for them if they really asked? And instead I just show up, and instead I actually just be there for them, instead of this hypothetical that I'm creating in my mind that doesn't exist and waiting for the worst of the worst to come. Why should I wait for that when I can just be there, show up? Whether it's a gathering, a hangout, calling, texting. Like, I have this one friend, dear friend of mine. every so often, every couple weeks, he gives me a call, checks up on me. Like, that's friendship. And it's not always about giving a gift or going to these or going to these grand events and parties for birthdays and just seeing each other at these activities. You can do things beyond that, showing up for people, going that extra mile. And it doesn't have to be all the time, but what I did for myself was, and maybe this might not work for you, but I put myself in this position of surplus of hanging out. Like, I booked hangouts like almost every other day or almost every day for a good amount of time, would take a break and then do it again. And now I'm back at like this moderate level of interacting with my friends normally, because I was in such a deficiency for the longest time. And again, if you want to be part of a village, you got to be a villager, you got to show up. And that same friend who gives me a call, we were talking about this, the price of community is inconvenience. But he asked me this, what really is inconvenient? Driving downtown, driving however or wherever. That's such a privilege. That's such a first world problem, to like be able to drive and to be able to complain about such a thing, right? So it's not really inconvenience. It's just the fact that we've become so reliant on like ease of access to things right to your door. That's not how friendship is. That's not how reality is. And the two things I want to associate with friends and community or family would be the two things I'd associate with friends are fulfillment, because you can't just be stuck in your own little world. Also, with whatever may be going on, it's good to get your friend's perspective, but that doesn't mean you only have to go to them when times are tough. You gotta show up when times are good too, right? So fulfillment from a holistic standpoint, and also fatigue. Knowing when to rely on others and not being so afraid of judgment or afraid to, lean on other people. That's what a community is for. You don't have to have the biggest circles. You don't have to have 10, 15, 20 friends. And even if you do, that's cool. But you don't have to be telling everyone your business either. And at the same time, you don't have to be telling those few friends every single thing. It's good to process things on your own and really sit with those feelings. Like I said in the first part, you got to sit with them, you got to process them. But also, that might be able to be kickstarted if you have a bit of a blockage by hanging out with your community and by seeking support and help outside of yourself. Now, onto the third lesson I learned. Familiarity. Familiarity, good thing and a bad thing. Familiarity is good in the sense of building routine, maintenance, habits. And I won't say bad thing, but it can also hinder your progress by sticking to your comfort zones, never really going and pushing yourself past those limits, right? You have to learn to let go of preserving that pride you have in yourself, that ego to just stay good at what you know. And you know what? There are points in time of your life where you will have to stay at that phase. And you can stay there for a little bit, but I don't know about you, but for me personally, when I've been in that phase of my life for too long, I feel a plateau. I feel like something's missing. And what a privilege, again, to be able to put myself into a place of faux hardship, in a sense, or a place to challenge myself to prompt growth. And I say this in reference to, for example, immigrant parents. My parents came to Canada, they worked really hard. They endured so much hardship, so many challenges, so many things that we wouldn't ever have to think of, so that my sisters and I could have an easier life. Because now we have that easier life. And some people are okay with that, but for me, I want to go above and beyond. I want to go, dare I say, plus ultra.
Plus ultra.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the two concepts I want to attribute to familiarity are freedom and frustration. Familiarity and building that routine, building those habits, good habits, and habits that allow you to get your day-to-day by, that's freedom. You have that as a baseline. You don't have that, you're all over the place, you're scrambling, you don't know what to do, you don't get up. And you know what? I could be a lot better at that. I got out of bed at 1 p.m., 2 p.m. today, but it's all about those little bits of effort, right? And the second thing I want to attribute to familiarity is that frustration. Frustration is not necessarily a bad thing. That frustration can teach you so many things. It can teach you your limits. It can teach you where you want to grow, what you want to pursue, what your interests are. Okay, the song's going on. I need to get along with this. You might be, for example, in a program in university or high school, you might be taking classes that you don't fucking care about. You're frustrated. Man, I'm doing this for my parents. I was the same way. With that frustration, you have to turn it into something else. You have to use it. If you just leave it, it'll turn into this lump in your chest. It'll well up and it will find a way out some way or another. And that might be detrimental to you, or it might be good. However you process things, however you go about your life. But again, don't let that frustration go to waste. It's such a powerful tool to helping you realize how much more lies ahead of you. And lastly, the fourth concept that I learned at age 24, fortitude, mental, emotional, and physical fortitude. Definitely on the physical side, I can attest to that with my knee. That actually challenged the whole fabric of my reality, my identity as an athlete, as a coach, as the eldest sister who never gets hurt, as someone who's just super agile. The fact that I was now bedridden and limping for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months was crazy to me. That broke me down to a point where rebuilding myself for the last couple years has been extremely humbling. The two additional concepts I want to attribute to fortitude are fragility and framing. With mental fortitude, like I said before, it's about these small little steps, maintenance, routine, making sure that your day-to-day is sustainable. Not these big changes that make you feel great overnight, rearranging your room, doing a big deep clean. Like, those are good, don't get me wrong. But progressing your life and I think getting to that next point, whatever it may be. And I don't have a word for it because this like feeling of about to say something, that's exactly how it feels to me. That's why I can't convey it. That being said, there's strength in endurance. There's strength in endurance, there's strength in vulnerability. And that vulnerability is everything that I've said so far. It's feeling your feelings, journaling, talking about it, sitting with it, crying, moving, getting it out of your system, with going to your community, talking about the good things, the bad things, and not always focusing on the lows. Sometimes you could be at the worst fucking point of your life and you go hang out with your friends and you don't talk about it. Not to say you shouldn't, but sometimes you just need to do something else instead of tunnel visioning on the worst parts. And a part of mental fortitude, oh, there's a bunch of dogs barking. Part of building that mental fortitude and that unbreakable front is addressing your weaknesses, addressing your limitations. Part of the familiarity, right? Knowing your limits, knowing your boundaries, knowing where you can push yourself, knowing and being just a little bit more honest with yourself day by day by day to slowly make your way up. I'm sure you've heard this before, but my dad always told me, your only competition is yourself. When you truly digest that and understand that, you will have the confidence of a god. Mental fortitude also comes from believing in yourself and reaffirming yourself, even when you don't believe in yourself. Fortitude comes from believing in yourself, reaffirming yourself, positive self-talk at those low points. But not just there, at your neutral points, at your happiest points, reminding yourself constantly. But again, that's not to say you're never allowed to be sad or to not give in to those negative feelings here and there. You're still human. A really big game changer for me that I realize, and for me, I've noticed this difference tangibly. I've had my goals up on my wall for the last year and a half. I'll put a picture of them. Seeing these every day rewired my brain. And as well, growing up and becoming just a bit more sure with myself. But again, those affirmations, whether I'm consciously reading them, subconsciously reading them, seeing them every day is what counts. I personally like to have a physical copy of things, and so I like to have them out. I like to use my notebooks. I don't like to have it always in my phone. I like to be able to see and touch things. But if you want to put it on your phone, cool. Maybe make it your lock screen. Make it something that you will unintentionally and always see. There was a point in time last year, about a year and a month ago, where I was crying my fucking eyes out. I was disassociating. I was just awful. I was in such a vulnerable state. Didn't sleep, stayed up for 5, 6 hours, going between disassociating, crying, and writing down these 3 affirmations that were part of a list of affirmations that my dad put together. The 3 affirmations were, I can do anything, I love me, and I am smart. And you know what? That's all I needed. In that moment, when I was at my lowest of lows, even if I didn't believe in myself, I was so fucking sad. I couldn't feel anything. I was so numb. But writing those over and over, just sitting with it, I was able to process it a week later or 2 weeks later. And even now, if I think about it, I might even cry, like at home or if I'm in a vulnerable position. Also, hot tip, do not indulge yourself with feeling sad after 7, 8 p.m., especially if you're in Canada. Feelings past 8 p.m. are not real. And that's something I stand by. I say that coming from a place of experience because going through it past 8 p.m. when it's dark, dude, not even 8 p.m. Once it gets to wintertime, like low key, 3, 4 p.m., don't do that to yourself. It's not worth it. It's all about those little efforts. And for me, in that moment in particular, it was just reminding myself of those affirmations. I still let myself be sad, but I made the active effort to believe in myself just a little bit. At least letting my hand write it and letting my eyes see it and read it, even though I wasn't in the position to be able to believe it. Oh my God, these fuck-ass dogs. Reaffirming yourself and believing in yourself at your lowest points will teach you and remind your brain for future times when you are sad and you are that emotionally vulnerable, that, you know what, I can get through this. Because again, your biggest competition is yourself. Your biggest critic is yourself. You have to learn to overcome that. Or actually, I take that back. You don't have to learn to overcome it. You have to learn to work with that. Work with that version of you. Don't fight it. Because like I said, feelings, you gotta feel them. You don't have to shove them away or figure out why you're feeling that way right then and there. But this is advice coming from big sister, coming from the therapist friend, coming from the friend with the most traumatic fucking love life. And I don't even want to call myself an empath, but I'm someone who will always try and see the good in people, and from a recovering control issues person. And I say control issues in the sense of I would try and make everything my fault so I would have an answer. Sometimes, whatever your situation may be, I don't know you, but if you're anything like me and you're watching these videos, a little something might be wrong. Hey, I'm telling on myself too here. Don't get mad at me. Just, hey. But what I mean is control issues in regards to, whoa, that cud looks like a giraffe. I'm gonna show you. Am I tripping? Giraffes are my favorite animal, if you didn't know. But I would always try and control the narrative with friends, situationships, my family, and healing that pattern of thinking is something I'm still working on. As you catch these little things here and there, add that to your foundation and continue to grow and address other things. You don't have to fix everything all at once. You're not some fucking superhero. You can't do it all. Just do a little bit here, a little bit there. Sometimes you might need to do more in this category. Sometimes you might need to do more over here. And sometimes you might need to do a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of this. And then all of those micro adjustments contribute to one bigger change. And you continue to work towards that potential. Because I know you see it. I know you feel it, and that's why you feel restless. That's why you feel uncomfortable. That's why you feel bored. That's why you don't know what to fucking do. Because you're comfortable. And keeping your promises to yourself is really important. This might be a little silly, but I got myself a promise ring. I'll show where it's from. I paid my own money for this. I didn't get it sponsored or anything. It's a Virgo ring. You know, sue me, I like astrology and all that, but it's a Virgo ring and it has 2 diamonds. So you can see here. It was a little bit expensive, but for me, I bought this promise ring to honor myself and to create a visible representation to stay single and to actually work on myself this year and to do whatever it takes to process the hurt and to also process whatever emotions and burdens I was carrying in my heart from relationships that I had with people in the past or current relationships I have with people. And so though it was silly, this was something that I wanted to do. And you know what? It doesn't have to be a big showy thing for me. I really like this ring. I was looking at it for a minute, but I decided I could turn this into something useful for myself. Do whatever makes you feel like you. Do whatever it takes to get you to keep your promises to yourself. It's so important. It's so important to be honest with yourself. That being said, the sun is pretty much gone now. I hope this is interesting to you, and if I was able to inspire you or just kind of remind you and shake you back to reality, like, I gotta do something with my life. I hope this reaches you. Love, Sabrina. Bye.